the sun sets on a sizzling Zerkyie day, the light really starts to grow. A champion by name, a champion by nature. That could be the prospect of the consequence of tonight's Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, it is once again another instalment of Formula Premiere, and this time it could be the turn of someone else to triumph. In the previous trio of seasons, we have seen Gupta rise to the top. He starts 7th, but will stare down the rear wing of Zerkie's Haas, who, if he can convert pole into victory, this really could be something. Something to land him into a dynasty of his own. For a track then that has so often been the curtain raiser of Formula One seasons, the tale may just be told in the context of this championship fight. As all eyes stare upon the Haas, starting from pole, the tale has its ink staring down on it. So then Zerkyie coming through the final corner and is ready to start on the grid for the start of this race. 29 laps ahead of us. So many tales to be told. A destiny to be found. And will Zerkyie be dancing in that destiny in 29 laps time? He has Plum to contend with going into turn 1. He has his nearest championship rival Slick hunting him down. And he has 17 drivers behind him yearning, craving the opportunity to run out in front. There is C. Soderstrom towards the grid, bashing the wall. And the Ferrari getting a far from ideal run to the grid. That's going to hurt his tyres, and he will probably struggle off the line, more so by the fact he's on the hard compound tyres, which will not be getting the optimum grip on the first tour. Is this Zerkie's day with destiny? 29 laps will be the determiner for that. But as the drivers stare upon the lights, we go from the lights to the action and we race away in Bahrain. Plum initially getting a good start, but then struggling in the second phase of the start. Slick sweeps past him and on towards turn 1. Slick closing in on Zerkyie. Zerkyie though leading. Aaron Cesaro launching an attack onto the inside of Slick, but remains behind the Aston Martin, and then he gets a massive tank slapper. He sees Jamie and Gupta powering past, and the two are going to run side by side going into turn 4. McLaren chancing a move around the outside, the Williams of Jamie keeping him at arm's length, but as they put down the power, Gupta still has an interest, but will have to remain in behind. But Zerkyie getting the perfect start. He's 1.3 seconds clear of Slick already. Jamie 3rd, Gupta 4th, Aaron 5th. Then we have Lucas Hydrant then down into 7th as the drivers filing their way through turn 10. And the drivers also going side by side. That's Learman James through turn 10. Looks like he's lost the rear a little bit there, or he would have been collected behind from someone going into the apex of that corner. The slowest corner on the track, and it seems like Learman has fallen victim of it, or someone else's problem. But Zerkyie still leading out in front, but Slick struggling through the right-hander on towards this long straight, which heads into the final couple of corners. No DRS enabled for the second lap of this race, but Zerkyie is romping away. Slick looks like he's going to be prey to a jammy attack down the start-finish straight. The Williams drawing side by side with the Aston Martin, seeking the inside line going into turn 1. Can Slick hold him off? He's forced to the outside and he acquiesces the place. The Williams sweeping by, and it's Zerkyie leading now from jammy. If things were to end like this would be Zerkie's day with destiny, as Aaron trying to fend off Gupta going into turn 4 and does so successfully. The McLaren having to slot in behind the Alpine through the sneaky section. Again, no DRS enabled just yet, but the drivers filing in behind one another, running relatively nose to tail, with the exception of Zerkyie out in front, who is just south of 2 seconds clear of Jamie. On board with Axel, who has had a horrid start. He started inside the top 10. He is now down in 17th place. He has a Kerdre on his tail, who most certainly has an interest to revive his race. And here is the Haas out in front, leading from Jamie with Slick in 3rd, Aaron 4th, Gupta 5th. Gupta actually dropping a bit off Aaron through the middle sector. He doesn't have Lucas Wright on his rear wing, but Gupta not sustaining the challenge that he's applied to the Alpine in the first couple of laps. But Aaron in the Alpine start to gain some confidence. We will have to see his overtaking will be aided now by the use of DRS. Plum will be without it down the start-finish straight, but he is in the slipstream of the Red Bull of Hydrant going into turn 1, and Mercedes are having to settle in behind. And there's Curtis Chaos tapping the rear of Barney Dog. Mercedes having to put on opposite lock, but managing to get away with any damage. We have a spin. It's Liam and James in the Williams, and Revoked has also had a problem. The Red Bull wandering off the road and dropping down into 17th place. Tablet Storm making a place on Curtis Chaos. Tablet Storm currently P11. And this track is punishing on tyres, and Tablet Storm has just been punished as cars from all over the place colliding with one another. The McLaren sustaining damage. But possibly the Ferrari of Soderstrom got involved as well. He runs off out wide through the exit of turn 10. He now has Curtis Chaos with the aid of DRS hunting him down the Ferrari, running offline with that damaged front wing, and the Haas easily seizes the place. And birds and all, drawing so close to the rear wing of that Ferrari. See Soderstrom getting out of the way, a Kerdre passing him as well. And the Ferrari limping back to the pits, looking to make a pit stop at the conclusion of this lap. But Jamie now has just set the quickest lap of the race, bringing the gap between him and Zerkyie now down to 1.4 seconds. Could the Williams be a growing force in this race? Could he be the thorn to the side of Zerkie's title ambitions here in Bahrain? Still, of course, a long way to go. And look, Slick struggling yet more. He has Aaron looking to penetrate past the Alpine. We saw him with Aaron struggling in the first couple of tours, but he has gathered momentum, and that rear wing of Slick's Aston Martin grows a more vivid sight. Gupta running within, well, Lucas running within a second of Gupta ahead. The battle for 5th and 6th. Both drivers making up a couple of places at the start of this race. And then we have Plum in behind. Plum, after starting from the front row, had a hellish getaway. Looked like he got away well on the first phase, but the second phase he must have got a load of wheel spin on those hard compound tyres, as he got absolutely swamped by the pack. And Aaron now, you can see he's within half a second of Slick, yearning an opportunity down this start-finish straight, putting down the power through the final corner. He knows he'll have DRS. He knows he has a plausible chance of making a move down this start-finish straight. The Aston Martin's wary of the threat, the Alpine closing in, and Slick not choosing to defend that position. The Alpine sweeps by, and that's a podium position granted into the hands of the Alpine. And as his teammate drops down the order with a spin through the final corner, another Alpine is powering into the podium places. So Zerkyie still leading from Jamie. The gap standing at around 1.5 seconds. Aaron 3rd ahead of Gupta. We have Lucas 5th. Lucas 6th, sorry. Gupta 5th, Lucas 6th, Hydrant 7th, Plum 8th. And then Pudge Dog and Barney Dog round out your top 10. But Pudge Dog has just encountered a time penalty for track limit violations, and earning a time penalty this early on in the race is going to be a real hindrance to the Aston Martin's race potential. Slick has not yet lost sight of Aaron. He still sees the Alpine ahead. He'll want to stay within DRS. If he drops out of DRS, it's going to be an extremely difficult task to battle back past. But the multi-time race winner so far in Season 4 of Formula Premiere will not give up down the start-finish straight. Jamie once more setting the quickest lap of the race, and Leahman James out of the race. The safety car deployed as Leahman James in the Alpine through. Seems like their turn 12 has had an accident, which has brought out the first intervention of the race, and it sees a flurry of drivers pitting. Curtis Chaos, Revoked, Tablet Storm are all taking the opportunity to come into the pit lane. And that is ideal for these drivers, as well as a Perdre and C. Soderstrom, who are obviously at a drift from the pack. But the field merging amongst one another at this safety car restart. And there is a twist. There is a twist to be told as this safety car period stacks the drivers back up amongst one another. And this will be interesting for the drivers. You would assume they would stay out on the track on their hard compound tyres, for which all of the top 10 are on. But for the likes of Revoked, Tablet Storm, Perdre and C. Soderstrom, they have made a pit stop, which is of course required of them in a 50% race. But they've made their pit stops, so I'm not going to be losing the time compared to green flag conditions where you make your pit stop. And for the likes of Tablet Storm and a Perdre, they can run deep into the race on these set of tyres. The race may be just swinging towards them to an extent. Of course, they're running towards the back of the pack. Zerkyie faking a move to the pit lane. He remains out on track. Psychology coming into the equation here as Zerkyie is just trying to exude his stardom and his sovereignty with his speed and scintillation. Okay, we have Pudge Dog and Barney Dog both coming into the pits, both getting rid of their hard compound tyres. Barney Dog switching to the mediums, and so too is Pudge Dog. He's not serving his time penalty for track limit violations. That will be applied at the conclusion of this race. But they will come out on track 11th and 12th. I'd assume because Curtis Chaos, although he is ranging down the start-finish straight, is just not close enough to Pudge Dog and Barney Dog. So our first intervention of the race here in Bahrain. So far, so good for Zerkyie. He's led from the very first corner of this race, converting pole into opening dominance. But he now has Jamie, who has showed super speed in the first few laps. He now has him, pinning him down. So then the safety car leading the pack of drivers as they head towards the final couple of corners to complete lap 7 of this race. Still a long way to go, still about 75% of the race to go. And believe me, there is action and an explosion of action to be enjoyed. The drivers weaving from left to right, trying to maintain temperature in their tyres, remembering that they are on the hard compound tyres, which would theoretically suffer at a safety car restart compared to those that have just pitted, and those especially who are on younger tyres. Well, younger tyres and softer tyres, I should say. But Zerkyie leading the pack as they head on towards turn 4. And this, for the likes of Zerkyie, possibly could be a good opportunity to extend their stint and possibly think about well, possibly a soft compound tyre run to the end of this race, but that would be a stretch. You'd have to pit very earliest of lap 20. And even that feels like a stretch. But for Zerkyie, we know he has it all. He is a jack of all trades. And he is the race leader at the moment. Now, I had in the Discord chat earlier, we've heard from Burton that her race is compromised because she somehow managed to get Miami mixed up with Bahrain as the track we're racing on this weekend. Just a disclaimer, if she feels like she's not going to maximise her potential this weekend. But that is what she said in the Discord chat, and we'll take her word for it. But she seems to have run a solid race thus far. She's running in the points, and after starting from P17, obviously a far from ideal qualifying session, but after starting from P17, she has made progress thus far. But can she sustain that progress? She has Pudge Dog and Barney Dog on her tail. It's going to be a laborious task. It's going to be an even more laborious task for Zerkyie, who has chosen his moment to put down the power. And he races away from the pack as we get back going. We get going again, here in Bahrain. Zerkie's time is to absolute perfection. No, he hasn't. He's spun through the final corner. And the crown that felt so close feels a distance now. The champion-elect, who was looking to dance in elation, drowns in despair. Tabulate Storm joins Learman Jamer on the sideline. He's out of this race. It looks like he's crashed through the final corner. Lucas dropping down the order as well. And this race has just exploded in melodrama. Zerkyie down in P7s, hunting down Plom. But my, oh my. What a time for it to go all so wrong. It looked like he's aced the safety car, restarts the chances of move to the inside of Plom. The Mercedes wary of the threat. They now run side by side, heading towards the slow speed turn 10. Thinking about a move to the outside, he thought again did Zerkyie, but he gets tremendous traction off of the slow speed corner. Heading down the DRS straight. No DRS in action on this lap as there's a polystyrene board that's just broken into pieces. And there's Axel making a move on Curtis Chaos, the Alpha, progressing past the Haas and up into P11, and now on the fringes of the points, and Zerkyie dancing with the rear. He is not at one with that Haas, and he is really, really suffering. Lucas in trouble. No, Curtis Chaos in trouble. The Haas going for a spin, and it has been a lap of horror for the American outfit. From 1st to 7th for Zerkyie, and Curtis Chaos losing a handful of positions. Bahrain has just taken a twist. Lap 10 of 29. First you can see on the tail of Barney Dog on the tail of Pudge Dog. These two looking to make inroads on their opposition on the younger, softer, medium compound tyres. They're not really troubling the drivers ahead right now. And there's Zerkyie trying to impose himself in the view of Plom's rear mirrors. Heading through the hairpin, all hydrants running out wide. Plom not close enough to make him pay. And once more, they will follow in formation. Now Aaron Cesaro, who does have a time penalty, can see Jamie ahead. Jamie, who started from 5th place. Aaron, who started from 4th, and now duelling for the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And a lead, at least for Jamie, that he did not expect to come about. Though he did apply good pressure on Zerkyie in the first phase of this race, and took opportunity of Zerkie's misfortune at the safety car restarts. If Zerkyie is to win from here, it would be the measure of a champion. But here comes Plom on the tail of Hydrant, running side by side down the start-finish straight. It's a drag race towards turn one. Mercedes inching ahead going into turn one, and under brakes has the move under control. Hydrant, though, will have the aid of DRS and will look to fight back. But how close is he to make a move? He's not close enough. And now he'll have to contend with Zerkyie behind as Jamie not racing away from Aaron. It's a Williams and it's an Alpine battling out in front. And it's these two who look to steal the show as Zerkyie makes his move on Hydrant. The pace turns and the race revive has just started. On what may just be his day of destiny. He unpacks it and he looks to invest in it, running out wide though on the curve is Zerkyie, and Hydrant's closing in. Zerkyie is struggling with that Haas. He needs to make it count though, the speed that he does have. He needs to string together consistency because that rear end is just dancing all over the place. DRS will be enabled down the start-finish straight on this tour, so for Aaron, he can close in yet more on Jamie. These two separated by 7/10 of a second, but by how much can the Alpine close in come the conclusion of this straight? We know DRS is powerful around this track, and Aaron closing in at a fast rate of knots. If he can get good traction coming off of turn 2 and through turn 3, he could be in a place to cause the Williams a problem or two, but he doesn't seem like he's close enough. Axel making a move on Burton going into turn 1 and captures the final points paying position. So the Alfa Romeo powers on and powers on into the points. And here you can see the race leaders once more heading into turn 10, descending downhill. Aaron does have tremendous traction right now. It just looks so smooth inside the cockpit of that Alpine. He's looking to seize the moment. Yes, he does have a time penalty, but if he can run out in front on his own, it would be a tremendous return after starting from P4. We know the speed that Aaron has. He's looking to capitalise on it. There's Soderstrom in the Ferrari, looking to keep out the way of his teammate. Thankfully it ghosts as Lucas powers past. But for Ferrari, what a horrid race it has been thus far. Aaron closing in once more on Jamie, heading down the start-finish straight. How close is he going to be going into turn 1? Again, not close enough. Zerkyie closing in on Plom. I thought DRS would be a bit more powerful, but the drivers perhaps spending their battery down the start-finish straight in defence from the drivers behind. And we now have the two Ferraris running nose to tail. See Soderstrom, who went for a spin just 30 seconds ago, can now see his teammates in his mirrors. And see Soderstrom powering past but struggling through the apex of turn 2. Revokes going for a spin, dropping down into P15. His race gets no easier. But one Ferrari on another Curtis Chaos passing Revokes, but the Red Bull hanging it around the outside and races away from the Haas. Constant action here at the Zerkyie International Circuit as Gupta running out wide, it seemed, unless he was just committed to the curb, but that did not look perfectly healthy for the McLaren. On board with Zerkyie then. Is he alive in this race? Is he alive once more? His progress has stagnated. He made the move on Hydrant just a couple of laps ago, but still he contends with the rear wing of that Mercedes running ahead. Through the final corner again, the rear end stepping out, Zerkyie having to correct it. But down the start-finish straight, the Mercedes ahead with DRS to defend. Aaron as close as he has ever been going into turn 1. He just set the quickest lap of this race so far. And here's Zerkyie closing in on Plom. Plom's use of DRS is really helping him in his defence from Zerkyie. And here's Pudgdog closing in on Hyde. It's a bit of a DRS train forming. And once more we have the two Ferraris in formation. Action across the field as Lucas beached on the curb. Having to put in opposite block. And you can see the amount of drivers struggling. Tyre degradation is a huge factor around this circuit, perhaps more than any other on the calendar. But the drivers are most certainly proving that. Plom struggling through the exit of turn 10, and Zerkyie is already side by side with him. He has a chance, and going into turn 11, he applies the brakes, and he looks to seize it, which he does. Give an inch, and Zerkyie will take a mile. The Haas is just irresistible. He capitalises upon Plom's error as he sails past the Mercedes and up into the top 5. And then struggling just to touch through the final corner. Aaron once more closing in on Jamie, braking for turn 1, and Zerkyie then making his pit stop and looking to trigger the undercut on his rivals. He was provisionally running P5. Could this undercut release him further down the road? Aaron closing in on Jamie once more. Pudgdog closing in on Hydrant, but this DRS train is just nullifying the threat of other drivers. But Zerkyie dropping to last place. But he bolts on the medium compound tyres and, well, looking to trigger the undercuts. But it is a sensible moment to make a pit stop. He can most probably make those tyres last. He may struggle with those tyres come the conclusion of this race. But with a lighter fuel load and with the force of Zerkyie, you can never write him off. Here's Aaron once more closing in on Jamie, and you can see him there off of the exits of turn 11. He lost the rear as Curtis Chaos does the same. But through turn 7, and the tally of errors just builds and builds and builds here in Bahrain. It is morphing into a race of attrition. The drivers are riding by the wayside. Jamie from the race lead makes his pit stop. Williams from the lead releases Aaron behind. Aaron now racing out in front. As Revokes defending from C. Soderstrom going into the final corner. The Ferrari almost being forced into the pit wall, but it seems firm. It seemed fair. And C. Soderstrom has earned himself a place now in the top 10. Jamie coming back out onto the track behind Revokes and critically in traffic. Zerkyie just about ahead of Hydrant. That is critical. Further ahead, Aaron leading by 2.6 seconds. Slick is second. But the drivers giving it their all. And Aaron is going to look to do that. Can he trigger the overcuts on Jamie? That would be quite something. It really would. But Jamie in traffic, his progress could just be thwarted. Zerkyie, 6.2 seconds behind Jamie on the road. No time penalties applied, so Zerkie's not out of this. He truly is not out of this. But he's got to make up half a dozen seconds if he wants to taste glory on this Zerkyie stage. Slick coming into the pit stop, coming into the pit lane to switch to the medium compound tyres. Gupta remaining out on track. I wonder if Aaron and Gupta are trying to push all the way to making a switch to the soft as Zerkyie through the final corner. Has a spin. He's going to be so vulnerable now. Down the start-finish straight, Zerkyie registering the quickest lap we've seen so far in this race. But he's not going to be close enough to Zerkyie going into turn 1. And here's Jamie closing in on Revokes, and he will dearly want to make a move. Revokes initially going defensive, just trying to break the toe, but the Williams with supreme traction coming off of turn 4. Revokes struggling as well, and the Williams imposing himself in the rear view of Revokes towards the right hand, and now the Williams from a long way back down the inside. Revokes managing to stay ahead, committing himself to the outside line, but Jammy was chancing it all with that move. Coming off of turn 10, putting down the power, opening DRS, Revokes going defensive. He knows he's technically running ahead of Jammy after their pit stops, but not anymore as Jammy sweeps around the outside. And that is one critical move in one pursuit of race victory for the Williams. Aaron making his pit stop then from the lead of the race. How close is he going to be to Jammy? Well, not that close, because he's actually serving his time penalty, so that's going to cut him a long way adrift of the Williams. Because as Jammy powers down the start-finish straight, he powers past, and here comes Revokes now. He's looking to return the favour on Jammy going into turn 1. The Williams keeping it on the racing line, but Aaron coming back out onto the track. Aaron coming out back onto the track behind Zerkyie and side by side with his teammates. On cold tyres he remains ahead, but can Zerkyie utilise the temperature in his tyres to pressurise his teammate? I don't think so. So this race provisionally lies in the hands of Jammy. Revokes is his nearest challenger, but the Williams seems to have the speed. Zerkyie is north of 6 seconds behind. That's another important thing to note. Slick is now down in P12. Zerkyie is P6. I believe Zerkyie now only has to outscore Slick by just a few points. His teammate, though, is going to let him past. Slick, with the aid of DRS, can see past his teammate and can look ahead of him. Slick up into P11. So the gap going into this race between Zerkyie and Slick was 117 points. But it is still on for Zerkyie. It is still on. I'm going to have to do the maths later on. But Barney Dog now leading this race as Gupta makes his pit stop and switches to the medium compound tyres. Jammy, though, not racing away from Revokes, really. That will cause him a spot of bother. Hydrant teasing a move into turn 1. Past Zerkyie, takes to the curve, but struggles as he straddles on it. The Alpine remaining ahead as Zerkyie still having to settle for P8 ahead of Plum and ahead of Slick. Rising off board Hydrant then, who is currently P8 and looking to impose himself in the rear view of Zerkyie. Is that Lucas who's had a problem? Yes, it is Lucas in last place, and the race does not get any easier for him. Axel from turn 10, dropping the rear of the car, and after running mere meters behind the hat of Curtis Chaos, is now a long way behind. Here's Hydrant pressurising Zerkyie. Is a move, is a position soon able to be made going into the final couple of corners. He wants to settle in behind. He wants the aid of DRS down the start-finish straight. The Alpine will look defenceless as the Red Bull closing in and Blom looking to join in the battle as well. The Red Bull surging by. Blom looking to the outside of turn 1. Closing in on Hydrant, but can he make the move on the Alpine? Yes, he can. Using the grip of those tyres to get past Zerkyie, now on the receiving end of Slick surge going into turn 4. The Aston Martin braking to the outside. Zerkyie tapping with him for one brief moment. But Slick now up into P9, and his teammate Pudge Dog wants to make a move as well. action. What thrilling action we have here at Bahrain. And here comes Jamie, looking to make a move on Burton. On the road, it's from P3 to P2. Burton looking to defend, but she just did not have the top end speed, nor the grip to compete with Jamie. He took the winner's step last week before it was taken away from him. Jamie looking for redemption here in Bahrain. Slick taking to the curb, and it's with desperation now that he contends with the merest of championship hopes. He started this season so strong. He started the season as the championship favourite, but Zerkyie arrived, and Zerkyie has delivered thus far. Zerkyie runs ahead of Slick despite his safety car restart misdemeanor. And now focusing on the action for P7. Plom trying to attack Hydra going into turn 1. The Red Bull going defensive. Plom committing himself to the inside line, but not able to get past. Slick waiting in the wings as well. These three are going to be racing into turn 4, but with the Red Bull ahead. Hydrant's doing a stellar job in his defences. Burton earns herself a time penalty, but running in the podium positions with just 9 laps to go. This race has whizzed by. So here is Zerkyie then, who is coming towards this long straight, lending itself into the final braking zone of this track. Barney Dog then pitting from the lead of the race. Jamie will lead out in front once more. But as it is, Zerkyie, despite his struggles in this race, may just be destined for glory. Comes to that in a few moments' time, but he is inching ever closer. Is Zerkyie. Plom trying to make a move on Hydrant going into turn 1. It almost seemed like their Hydrant was breaking down the straight. That could have been a horrid contact between the two, but they're racing side by side. Hydrant claiming the upper hand, but for how much longer? Because the Red Bull and the Mercedes running side by side. Slick joining in the action as well. Are they going to run 3 wide going into turn 4? No. The Mercedes running ahead. Hydrant running in behind, but now behind Slick as well. A couple of places lost there for the Red Bull, who is now down in P8. Can he fight back? No, but Slick around the outside of Plom. Slick putting down the power. Stellar, supreme, scintillating. It may not be his season, but that is a move devoted with dexterity. Truly mesmerising from Slick as Hydrant spinning through turn 10. But that was incredible there from Slick. With opportunism came virtue as Barney Dog and Gupta running side by side. Gupta running off the road and now running behind a curve race. So Barney Dog, who has just made his pit stop, is on a bold charge here and runs ahead of a Kurd Ray, and Gupta is going to let the pair through, which is great respect there from Barney Dog. But Gupta now released up into P9. A Kurd Ray, well, allows Barney Dog pass. So round 2 between the McLaren and the Mercedes. Yes, Leland provokes, passes Burton. But Gupta weaving this way and that way. The Mercedes closing in down the start-finish straight. Gupta, is he going to defend the position going into turn 1? No, because Barney Dog is late on the brakes. He's precise on the brakes. But Gupta fighting back going into turn 2. The Mercedes hanging it around the outside. He has the grip, he has the potential, and he has the position. Is that Zerkyie? Zerkyie from 3rd place, spinning out once more. And yet another problem for Zerkyie in this race. And the task of glory, championship glory here in Bahrain, gets that much trickier as Slick now passing Zerkyie. It may not just be today. It really might not do. Aaron into the rear of Burton. Aaron from P3 dropping down out of the podium positions. He'll have Slick hunting him down. But this is melodrama, absolute melodrama here in Bahrain. Zerkyie running wide, Plum looking to pass him. Zerkyie having encountering front wing damage. And the champion is limping in the desert. Well, champion-elect limping in the desert, but you get the idea. He's really struggling. Revokes passing Burton. What a drive this has been from Revokes. He was running towards the rear of the pack. And now he's running second. What a stellar drive it has been from Revokes. But we have just a handful of laps to go here in Bahrain. And what could have been a championship winning day doesn't look like it's going to be that, as Hyder running out wide. He has Barney and Gupta passing him in a heartbeat. Zerkyie defending from Plum still. But this has been hectic. Absolutely hectic. It has delivered absolutely everything. We've had drama and we've had domination. And the domination right now belongs to Jamie, who leads by 9 seconds. What a refined drive this has been from the Williams. Zerkyie still struggling with his tyres, still struggling with his race. He almost has Plum hitting the rear of him as they run nose to tail through the right-hander. So then down the start-finish straight, the Mercedes closing in. Zerkyie calculating his measure of defence, but he's actually pulling away. He's spending the battery down the start-finish straight, and it's keeping the Mercedes behind. Gupta closing in on Barney Dog. Hydrant in this battle as well. But Aaron, after his moments of misfortune a few laps ago, is recharged and reinvigorated in this race. Zerkyie still defending from Plum. Zerkyie, who for the first time in Formula Premier is facing a race finishing position outside of the podium. Hydrant also spinning. These turns become more hectic, lap after lap after lap. Simply incredible. There is Aaron progressing up into second place. Revoke starting to struggle on his tyres. Curtis Chaos spinning through turn 7, I think. And the list of drivers encountering problems in this race just gets more and more remarkable. Revoke spinning as well. And spinning again. This script, this teasing script around the Zerkyie International Circuit is breathless in its drama. Truly breathless. Zerkyie has again had a problem on this lap though, because he was behind Plum. He still is, but he's behind Barney Dog and Gupta as well. And these troubles for Zerkyie simply mount. Axel chancing a move going into turn 1, past the curve rate, running side by side, a brief moment of contact, the Alpine remaining ahead. But through the exit of turn 3, the pair of them will have DRS. It's Axel with strong top end speed, looking to make a move going into turn 4, and looks like he seizes it. The Alpine trying to hang the move around the outside, sees Soderstrom running ahead of Revokes. It has been breathless in Bahrain. Absolutely breathless. Zerkyie struggling still. Fudgedog closing in. He's just trying to take this corner by corner now. Is Zerkyie. Fudgedog with the aid of DRS. Can see the side pod of that Haas. He can still see the side pod of that Haas. And he can see it now behind him. Surely, no, he can't, because Zerkyie chancing the inside line. Oh my lord! They got so close to a high-speed crash there. Zerkyie down into 8th. has Revokes having a problem going into turn 10, which is not too distant from the troubles we have seen so far in this race. Aston Martin of Pudgedog running ahead of Zerkyie. Axel closing in on the Haas. But here comes Zerkyie with, look at that top end speed. It's not a contest as the Haas breezes past and back up into 7th place. Here comes Gupta closing in on Barney Dog with just 2.5 laps to go. The conclusion nears. And Pudgedog still having an interest of Zerkie's position. Revokes once more spinning. Again, it doesn't get any easier for him. Gupta. You can see that he's sticking with Barney Dog, but he's not close enough to make a move. And you're going to need that. You're going to need terrific top-end speed if you're to overtake around this track, because the drivers seem to be running really strong straight-line speed setups, which possibly could explain why we've seen so many incidents around this track. For a race so filled with drama, it's a miracle we still have 16 drivers. Though it may be 15 as Revokes comes into the pits to get rid of his tyre. Pudgedog clashing. Zerkyie struggling off the corner. Axel passing the pair of them. Axel up into 7th. Axel up into 7th going into the final corner. That was a moment of thrilling opportunism there from the Alfa Romeo. He's going to be passed by Zerkyie, and he might just get passed by Pudgedog as well. No, because Pudgedog's been passed by C Soda Strong, and Pudgedog struggling through the apex of turn 1. What incredible drama we have had around this circuit. Gupta now running ahead of Barney Dog, it seems, so Gupta up into 5th. And then Axel spinning through turn 4 on the penultimate lap of the race. Axel, who's had a drama-filled race, had dramatically tumbled out of the points. Running off-road. Running so far off-road, it was almost running into Miami. I'm joking. Pudgedog closing in on C Soda Strong. Gupta racing away from Barney Dog. And Jamie coming through the final couple of corners on his way to starting the final lap of this race. And so it is for Jamie, the final tour of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Jamie has been in a league of one in this race. And on his final tour, he looks for a reprieve after the heartbreak of Zandvoort just a week ago. He has led this race emphatically ever since Zerkie's spin earlier on in this race. He's so strong, defending from Pudgedog. The Aston Martin looking to the outside, seizing the inside line, running side by side with the Ferrari, struggling with the rear of the car, putting down the power off the exit of turn 2, and now running side by side, or almost side by side with the Ferrari once more. Into turn 4, he's not late enough on the brakes. He's so strong, almost running into the rear of Zerkyie there. And Zerkyie looks like he's going to have to contend with 7th place in this race. In this kingdom, he was yearning the championship crown, but it looks like it's going to elude him on this Zerkyie day. But then to Jamie, who creeps towards the final couple of corners in this kingdom of Bahrain. He has been presented with the gates of prowess as he powers to a poignant win here at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and the Williams walks in wonder. He heads home. Aaron, who comes home P2, a really strong drive there from the Alpine. Slick coming home in P3. See Soda Strong running side by side with Zerkyie the Haas with terrific top end speed, is able to remain ahead. And here comes Burton into the final corner for a 10th place finish on the road. The AlphaTauri makes her move, and Zerkie's on through the final corner as well. And Zerkyie finished outside of the points. And in the Haas garage, stunned, silence, shiver. That was the most harrowing of drives from Zerkyie, who was driven mesmerisingly all season. But on a day where glory could have been his, glory was not to be. And so then, take a breath, take it all in, digest the drama from that one, because that was astonishing. One could argue that was the strongest race, the most dramatic race of the season. Surely the most unpredictable, and one that we could remember in weeks and weeks to come. But a week on, or 2 weeks on really, we've had a break in between, but a race on from the heartbreak of Zandvoort. By the coast, his exigence was washed away, and his elation has landed in the desert and in Bahrain. What an assured drive that was from Jamie. Just pinpoint perfect. So then, pick the bones out of that one. What a ride that was. Bahrain never ceases to disappoint, and it did not disappoint today. Jamie winning by 10.5 seconds in the end. He wins from Aaron. Slick coming home in P3. And then we have Plom in 4th, Gupta 5th, Barney Dog, Ciso de Stromer, Kerdre, Potchdog and Burton rounding out the top 10. Points for Burton for a second race in a row. We might take the mick out of her in Formula Premier, but she has started to string together some really good results. And fair play to her. And fair play to Jamie, who was just mesmerising around the Zerkyie International Circuit. He's been on form. He's been on fire. So then, the wait for Zerkyie will continue on into next race. But the anticipation is eternal. It is everlasting. And it will strike back next week when Formula Premier returns. If you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you return for when we return to walk and immerse yourself in a whirl of wonder. And that is the best way to describe the last 29 laps. But make sure you return for when we return, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for your company on this Saturday evening. And until next time, goodbye.